Hi everybody! So I'm just going to continue where I left off, creating the Christmas tree minion that's designed by Jess Davies, also known as CraftLover17 on Instagram. So this is what I'm showing you how to create. In part, it's going to be a lot neater because I've taken this apart so many times. In part one, we've done the body and the goggles and the goggle strap. In this video, in this part, we're doing the arms and attaching, the legs and attaching. So that's all we're going to be doing in this video. All the supplies needed were mentioned in part one, so if you need to know all the band counts and everything that's needed, it is in part one. In this video, I'd just like to point out that you are going to use the 10mm bells or a 10mm or any kind of size bead if you'd like. So I'm going to continue, and I do hope you enjoy. Round one of the arms, we're going to start off with doing 5 single crochets in the magic ring. I'm going to show you to do one, and then you're going to pause the video to make yourself another. So I'm going to use yellow first, and I'm going to take my first band and wrap it around the bottom peg 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Now you're going to bring the 5 bands through one at a time. Reaching in, bringing your first band through, other end on your hook, and bring your top loop over. Bring it to the side and go back in for your second band. Bring it through, end on your hook. You'll have 3 loops. Bring your top 2 over. And you're going to continue like that. So just repeat, go back in, grab your band, bring it through, another end on your hook. Top 2 loops over. Bring it to the side and your 4th band, bring through, top 2 loops over. And one more time. Attach your stitch marker to this band that's around your hook and remove off the loom. You want to move your bands around, and you should have 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is on your hook. For round 2, we're going to increase to 8 stitches. So we're going to start off with a single crochet, 1 band in the first chain. Then in the next 3 chains, you're going to do an increase, so you're adding 2 bands. In your last stitch, you're going to do a single crochet. So we're going to go in our first chain, and you're going to bring 1 band through, a single crochet. Now the next 3 chains, 1, 2, and 3, do an increase. So you're adding 2 bands in that one chain. Go back in that same chain to add the second band. And repeat, increase, back in, repeat again, back in. And where your stitch marker is, add 1 band. So you should have 8 stitches. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band around your hook. For round 3, I'm going to do 8 single crochets. So adding 1 band to each chain, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. At the end of this round, you're going to have 8 stitches still. So go in your first chain, not where it's getting pulled, and do a single crochet. The next chain with 1. The next chain, and continue until you get to the stitch marker. You should have 8 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band around your hook. Now for round 4, I'm going to change to red color, so I'm going to start off with a slip stitch. I'm going to do 8 single crochets and grabbing the outside loops only. So the loop that's furthest away, so all the ones that are on the outside. So if you were to put your hook through, you can see that this one is your outside loop. So that's what you're going to be grabbing all the way around. Now, we're going to add the cap bands like we did in the Mr. and Mrs. Claus minions. So each one is going to have a cap band after we do the single crochet. So I'm going to go in my first one, my first chain, the outside loop only. We're doing 8 single crochets, adding a cap band to each crochet. This is changing color, so bring it through all the stitches and slide. Now remove off your hook, you're giving that a slight pull so it doesn't fall apart, and you're taking your band and wrapping it around your hook 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. And you're going to put your loop back on your hook and slide your cap band on. Go to the next outside loop only, do a single crochet, slide, give it a tiny tug, remove, and add a cap band 3 times, grab your hook, and continue. That's what you're going to do all the way to your stitch marker. Now I'm going to do one more here, the single crochet on the outside loop only, but this time I'm going to wrap a few of these bands around my hook. I didn't want to do that, but I think that if you've done the Santa Minion, this will make sense and it's a little bit faster. So I just wrapped a band with 3 on it, the 3 loops, 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to do another. I'm going to do this to 4 bands. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to take this loop and I'm going to put 3 loops on, so it's 1 band, 3 loops. Now I'm going to go to the next outside loop only, do a single crochet, and add another cap band. So slide. Take 3 loops and slide it on. The next outside loop only. Take 3 loops, it's 1 band, and slide it on. Outside loop. Now, I don't want to let go. I want to do my next crochet because if I let go with this cap band on, it will just fall apart. So I have 2 more stitches to go. Single crochet, give it a tiny tug and release. Now I need 2 more cap bands. I'm going to put my loop back on and slide a cap band on. My last stitch where my stitch marker is. So I have 8 stitches now. 8 stitches with cap bands. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 5, I'm going to do 8 single crochets again, but I'm only grabbing the inside loops only. So here's where you're going to have to get familiar with where your stitches are. So let's go to our first stitch. I'm going to do a slip stitch. So if I move this cap band out of the way, you're going to find your first stitch. This tiny little thing is your slip knot. Don't go through that. You can see your chain. I moved my cap band out of the way. I only want to grab the first stitch. That's the inside loops, all the ones that are facing the center of the hand. You're going to take your first one, do a slip stitch. Now you're going to move 2 cap bands out of the way. So one is where your green band is, move it out of the way, and you're finding your next stitch. You're grabbing your inside loop only. So I went through the chain, but I only want the first little loop. Do a single crochet. Now you're going to separate 2 cap bands again. Find your inside loop only. So I put my hook through the chain and I'm grabbing just the first chain. You're going to repeat until you get to the stitch marker. Moving them out of the way. This is the band where my stitch marker is on. I have 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 is on my hook. Remove your stitch marker. For rounds 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, you're going to do 8 single crochets. So adding 1 band to each chain, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. Each pile I have 8 bands. So at the end of each round, you should have 8 stitches. Your last band, you're going to do a slip knot to tie it close, which I'm going to show you how to do that after we've completed round 6. And then add 2 sewing bands to the arm. So first, let's do round 6 together, and then you're going to pause the video to complete the rest of the rounds after. So what I'm going to do is go in my first chain and just do a single crochet. The next. All the way until you get to the stitch marker. I have to redo that one. I didn't go through the chain. So you should have 8 stitches still, and remove your stitch marker. If you've counted your bands, you really don't need to use the stitch marker. Now, when you get to your last band, this is what you should have. You want to go in, do your last single crochet, but bring your band through all of the loops that are on your hook to tie it closed. And that's when you can remove your stitch marker, and you want to add 2 sewing bands. I'm not adding any stuffing. So what I'm going to do is put my slip knot to the side like I always do. You're going to skip the stitch beside the slip knot and go to the next. And the same thing on the other side. Skip the stitch beside the slip knot, go to the next. Now you're going to bring 1 band through to do a slip knot. Grab the end and slide. Don't pull too hard. And you want to grab the chains on the end to do a slip knot so it's even with this side. So when you're done all the rounds and you do that, this is what you should have. So you can pause the video and come back to me when you're done. Round 1 of the foot, I'm going to do a chain of 4. And we're going to start off at the bottom. So I'm not going to use the loom and do a magic ring. I'm doing a chain. For the cap band, I'm using a different color that I am going to just break the band when I'm done. And I have done this before. If you don't want to cut the band, just use a regular, your red color, and you can just leave it. But I'm going to cut it off. So I like this technique. I'm going to take my band and wrap it around my hook 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. You can use any color if you don't mind breaking it. Now a chain of 4. If you're unsure, you'd want to watch my first 2 rounds. So that's what I have, a chain of 4. For round 2, we're going to increase to 11 stitches. So the first thing that I'm going to do is slide, do a slip stitch right at the end here of this chain. So I'm just going to slide. Now, if I hold my cap band this way, what you want to do is with the tip of your hook, go inside of the chain so you're getting both of those loops on your hook. So you can see the tip of that loop is on your hook. Now you're going to do a single crochet in that chain. The chain right above it, make sure that your hook is going through the center of the loop. So that chain is on your hook, the tip of that chain. And do a single crochet. Now in this chain right above, you're going to add 4 bands into that one chain. So you're going to do 4 single crochets inside. So that was 1. I'm just moving this cap band out of the way. Go back in for 2. 3. And 4. Now you have 2 chains left, 1 and 2. Before I do that, what I'm going to do is a single crochet in here and then an increase in the last stitch. But I'm going to cut my band. So I'm just going to break it. I don't have scissors in front of me. Please use scissors. If it didn't fall apart, you did right. If it did fall apart, it's because the tip of your hook didn't go through the center of the chain. So I'm going to continue my next stitch with a single crochet and my last chain with an increase. Back in. You should have 11 stitches. Add your stitch marker to the band that's around your hook and your stitches will eventually start to close up. For round 3, we're going to increase to 15 stitches. The pattern is going to be a single crochet, then a single crochet followed by an increase, which you're going to repeat 4 times. In the last 2 chains, you're going to do a single crochet. So at the end of round 3, you're going to have 15 stitches. So you're just going in your first chain, right at the tip, and do a single crochet. Now you're going to repeat this section 4 times, single crochet followed by an increase. I have 2 chains left, so I'm just going to do a single crochet in each. So you should have 15 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. We've just created the bottom part of the shoe. For round 4, we're going to do 15 single crochets and grabbing the inside loops only, the one facing the center, all the way around. So you want to go in your first, not where it's getting pulled, grab the inside loop and do a single crochet. The next inside loop only, and just continue until you get to the stitch marker. You have 15 stitches, remove your stitch marker, add it to the band around your hook. For round 5, I'm going to add the little 10mm green bell. I've just threaded a red band through. On this round, we're going to decrease to 10 stitches. So the pattern is going to be 3 single crochets followed by 3 invisible decreases. I have my extra bands here, but 1 second. Then you're going to end with 6 single crochets. We need to add the bell on chains 7. So each band here represents a chain. So what I'm going to do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, adding my extra band, 6, and 7. So that would be on chain 7. So I'm going to do my band first and then adding my extra band. So I'll be doing 3 invisible decreases. So let's do the first part first with 3 single crochets, 1 band in the first 3 chains, 1, 1, 1, not where it's getting pulled. Now you want to do 3 invisible decreases. So let's do our first one with a slip stitch in the next 2 chains here and leave it on your hook. Three loops and then side. You're going to repeat, band, and then the bell. This would be your 7th chain. 3 loops and then side. Invisible decrease again. Now you should have 6 chains left. You want to add 1 band to each chain until you get to the stitch marker. So you should have 10 stitches. Remove your stitch marker. Add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 6, we're going to decrease to 10 stitches. The pattern is going to be 2 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. You're going to repeat that again, 2 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease, and then ending with 4 single crochets. So at the end of this round, you should have 10 stitches. I'm going to go in the first 2 chains with a single crochet, not where it's getting pulled. Now do a slip stitch in the next 2 chains, so you're going to decrease, three loops inside. Repeat that step again, so 2 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. Now 4 single crochets until you hit the stitch marker. So you should have 10 stitches. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 7, you're going to do 10 single crochets, grabbing the outside loops only, all the way around, just the one on the outside, and you're going to add the cap band. So I'm going to release, I'm going to wrap 4 of these bands around my hook 3 times, so I don't have to keep removing my hook. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to do that with 3 more bands. Now you're going to do your 10 single crochets. So don't go where it's getting pulled. Grab your outside chain only on your first stitch. do a single crochet, and then add your cap band. One of the 3 loops here. The next outside loop only, do a single crochet and slide your cap band on. Continue all the way around until you get to the stitch marker. I'm going to give it a tiny tug, and I'm going to add 4 more bands on my hook. Grab the loop and slide another band on, so only 3 loops. Tiny tug, and my last 2 bands. That equals 10 I used. Remove your stitch marker. Now for round 8, I'm going to grab the inside loop only. I'm changing to green, so I'll start off with a slip stitch. I'm going to do 10 single crochets to the inside loops only, just as we did in the arms before. So find your stitches. Here's where it's getting pulled. Go to your stitch, move your cap band out of the way, and if you can't find your inside loop only, go through the chain, release, and only grab the 1. Bring your first band through all of the stitches on your hook and slide. Now move the cap bands out of the way, grab your inside loop only, and single crochet. Continue until you get to the stitch marker. You can remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For rounds 9 and 10, you're just going to do 10 single crochets, adding 1 band to each chain, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. Now, after we're done, we're going to add some stuffing. So therefore, your last band, you're going to do a slip knot to tie it closed. So I'm going to do both rounds with you. I'm going to go on my first chain and single crochet until you get to your stitch marker. I didn't count enough bands. You should have 10 bands in each pile. So you can remove your stitch marker and go around one more time. Don't go where it's getting pulled. Your last band in this round, do a slip knot. This is your last band, so go through all the loops, tie it off, remove your stitch marker, and then grab some stuffing, and you want to fill the shoe. I'm going to do a little bit at a time when filling the shoe because I want it to get to the bottom. If you're having trouble to get to the bottom, I always use a pencil. I have a bit of an opening here, so I'm just going to release some of the tension here by grabbing the little knot and fixing it up. So this is what you should have. Just trying to get some stuffing into the shoe area. Now I'm going to attach the shoes to the bottom here. And I'm going to use 10 bands. I'm going to do both feet with you. So what I'm going to do is fold it in half. I'm going to do this side first. So I'm going to fold it in half. Find the band that's going sideways, and I'm going to count 3 stitches to the left. So here's my band that's going sideways, 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to put my hook through. Now, somewhere at the back here, this is the back, it's facing me, and the front is facing the other way here. I'm going to find my slip knot, fix this around, and what I want you to do is go to the stitch to the side and above. So I'm going to go right here. So if I'm going to sew down, I'm going to sew down right beside, but not on top of the slip knot. And I'm going to do a single crochet, bringing both of my bands through the chains of the body and the little boot here. Grab the end and slide. So the front of the shoe here is facing the front of the body. Now it's going sideways, so I'm going to put my hook through the boot first, and next stitch over, put my hook straight down, and that's where you're going to grab. So the tip of your hook is your guide, and do a single crochet going through both of the chains on your hook and slide. The next stitch, put your hook straight down. If you loosen it up, and single crochet. Put it straight down. the last band, do a slip knot to secure it. And the one leg's on, and we'll do the next. For the other leg, we're just going to do the same thing as we did the other leg, fold it in half, but this time we're going to go to the right. So I'm going to fold it in half, find the band that's going sideways, and count 3 stitches to the right. So there's 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to put my hook through the chain. Now find your slip knot that's in the center of the body here, and you're going to do the same thing by going to the stitch to the side and right above. Now you want to be very careful because that was to the side here literally. I want to go to the side and above. So you want to be even with this leg. So if I grab here and I'm going to start here, I can see that I'm going to be even with this side. And do a single crochet. Now we're just working the opposite way, but it's the same thing as the other leg by going through the stitches on the leg first and then the body, releasing your hook, and it should tell you where to grab. You want to make sure you're even with this leg. Really, just let your hook be your guide. You want to make sure that you're at the back. You want to be even with this leg. I'm at the last band, so I'm just going to secure it by doing a slip knot to tie it closed. And all these bands you can just hide by going through the body and pulling them through. Now we're going to attach the arms to the side of the body. You can do this after you do all of the tree branches here. I'm referring to them as tree branches. I have no idea what to call these parts. This part. We're going to attach them to the side, and it's just the green bands that are underneath the yellow here. That's where I attach the arms. It's optional where you want to, when you want to attach them. So I'm just going to do that now because I can fit that into this part. So what I'm going to do, it doesn't matter if they're here and now. You're just going to be moving them around when you are sewing the other parts to complete him. So it's up to you. What I am going to do is find the side of the body, and I'm going to go through 3 of the chains of the green, bringing my sewing band through, going to the next chain right beside it, grabbing the sewing band, and then the next chain. So I'm just sliding these bands through, and the next one. And I'm also grabbing a lot of stuffing, so don't do that. Now I'm going to hook on to the sewing band here at the end of the arm, and I'm going to secure it with a single band. and then just hide your slip knot through the arm. And you want to do that to the other side. The same thing. Find the side. Before you tie it off, just check again to make sure that the placement is okay. So slide, and the next stitch on the body, sewing band through and side. Just check. Grab onto the sewing band that you have on the arm and do a slip knot.